Welcome to Warhammer 40k lore in the Bible, where I take Warhammer 40k lore to help explain biblical lore. And today we're moving on to part 3 of the ranged weapons of the Imperium. And I'm kind of going to skip over the grab weapons for the time being because I couldn't find any interesting stuff. So I'm going to do a little bit more research on that. So we're going to start with the missile launchers and finish off with the ballistic weapons today. And of course, I'm going to do, usually what I do is I do Warhammer lore, then the biblical lore, and then Warhammer lore again. But this time around, since we're doing a list, and I don't want to mess up the flow, I'm just going to do the biblical stuff first, and then we'll get into the Warhammer. Anyways, and I am looking into getting some studio lights. Right now, this is kind of the best lighting that I have. And I did get a new camera, or a webcam, so. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to be in Ezekiel 21:21. For the king of Babylon stood at the parting of the way, at the head of the two ways, to use divination. He made his arrows bright. He consulted with images. He looked in the liver. So, real quick, what it means, he looked in the liver, basically sacrifice, is what that means. And this is where it comes from. So, this is 1 Enoch chapter 7. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against the birds, beasts, reptiles, fish, to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. So, there you guys go. And he's consulting these gods, right, to make his arrows bright. You know, is this fire? You know, you have what are called the stoichion, you know, the elementals and stuff like that, right? So, interesting stuff there. Or could it be some technology that, you know, their gods, or whatever you want to call them, gave to them or let them use, or who knows, right? Very interesting. Now here they are again. So this one is Ezekiel. This one's Jeremiah. So he's talking about Babylon again here. So they have the ability to make their arrows bright, right? So make bright the arrows. He's basically saying, do what you're going to do, it ain't going to work, is what he's saying here. And gather the shields. The Lord has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes for his devices against Babylon, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. And, you know, the sacking of, you know, Israel and all that, you know, when they came in, took Israel and all that, right? But the interesting thing is they are able to make their arrows bright. Is this some sort of like laser thing? You know, I ain't talking about like, you know, pew pew guns. I'm sure it came from, you know, bows and actual arrows. But what does this bright mean? You know, is this fire? You know, which there are fire arrows, right, throughout history. But usually in the Bible, when it talks about the arrows hit fire, it would say fire, right? So this bright, I think, is something else, like laser type thing, right? Or it has like this, you know, they invoked the power of their gods and got this power or whatever it is, this energy, I guess you can say, around their arrows. So, interesting. Think of it what you will, you know, is it technology, divination, you know, I'll let you guys ponder that, right? So, Ezekiel 28:18. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thine iniquities. This guy gets misidentified as Satan. He is not Satan, right? Because Satan is a seraphim, which are fiery serpents. not cherubs, or a cherubim. So by the iniquity of thy traffic, therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of thee, and it shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to ashes upon the earth in the sight of them that behold thee. Is this a supernatural bomb? Right? Is this God putting in his little, I guess, what do you want to call it? Agents, I guess. Planting a bomb or something like that, just like we do. America and all the governments of the world do this stuff, right? Interesting. Interesting. So Isaiah 13:5. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation, of his anger, to destroy the whole land. So he's got a whole arsenal, because it says weapons of his indignation, right? What are these weapons? Are these supernatural lasers, and you know what I mean? And I think, this is just my opinion, I think the Bible and all this stuff, the ancient world, whatever, or I should say the supernatural part of it, there's some technology behind it, right? And there's more than just babies with wings pointing little arrows, right? And I think the mainstream church has done a disservice, right, in the depictions that they put in front of people, right? Oh, sorry about that. But anyways, I just think there's a lot more to it. So now let's go ahead and get into the Warhammer 40k stuff. So missile launchers are used by Imperial Guard heavy weapon teams as a crew-fired weapon, typically with one guardsman carrying the launcher, while the other carries the tripod stand and additional missiles, and assists with the loading from the rear of the launch tube. Space Marines, meanwhile, can fire similarly sized launchers from the shoulder and carry their own supply of missiles on a backpack-mounted rack. Makes sense? These launchers fire missiles that commonly have either one or two types of warhead: frag and crack. Crack is whack. Sorry. Frag projectiles, short for fragmentation, typically have a smaller explosive payload, encased in a perforated metal casing, or perforated, metal casing. They are designed to spray an area with shrapnel upon detonation, making them useful against entire groups of lightly armored infantry, but with poor armored penetration against heavier targets. Crack projectiles are shaped charges effectively lacking a blast radius, but they have high penetration capabilities, which make them useful for targeting either heavily armored infantry or moderately armored vehicles. Missile launchers can also fire less common missile versions of various Imperial grenade types. Typhoon missile launcher. The Typhoon multiple missile launcher, or Typhoon missile launcher, is a weapon found on Space Marine land speeders. Excuse me. It fires a barrage of anti-personnel missiles appropriate for assaulting light armored infantry. The mortar. The mortar has the ability to bombard enemy positions from behind cover, thereby reducing the vulnerability of the Imperial Guardsmen operating it and increasing their survivability. Despite its indirect fire abilities, the mortar is not exceptionally strong against more heavily armored troops, and certainly not against tanks. The rare Griffin Siege mortar has a much larger explosive force than its man-portable variants, and is an excellent bunker buster when equipped with specialist siege shells. It is usually mounted on a Chimera armored personnel carrier hulls to provide mobile support. Now we're getting into the ballistic weapons. The assault cannon is a 6-barreled, self-loading automatic ballistic weapon used by a few select vehicles in heavy infantry in Warhammer 40,000 universe. Effective against mass infantry and light vehicles, the weapon's large bulk more or less requires it to be mounted on stable platforms such as vehicles. Compared to other Imperial heavy weapons, there are very few units that are capable of carrying assault cannons due to the structural requirements of their mass, bulk, ammunition consumption, and more than a self-propelled bolt weapon. Its heavy recoil relative to its power. Two common Space Marine units that regularly carry assault cannons are Space Marine Dreadnoughts and Land Speeder Tornadoes. The Land Raider Crusader's main armaments include twin-linked assault cannons mounted on top of its hull. The Blood Angel's Baal Predator carries a twin-linked assault cannon in its turret. Certain Imperial Guard Sentinel variants were also armed with assault cannons. This was subsequently changed to reflect the reality that assault cannons are deployed almost exclusively by Space Marine forces. Aside from vehicles, a few infantry types are capable of fielding assault cannons as well. A pattern of the assault cannon, longer and slimmer than its vehicle-mounted equivalents, is often fitted in one arm by Space Marine Terminators. You gotta love them Space Marine Terminators, man. Especially the Death Watch. Anyways, I'm digressing here. The size and sheer strength of the Terminator Armored Space Marine allows him to freely move and advance even while firing the assault cannon without pause. Although the assault cannon lacks the range of other rapid-fire guns such as the heavy bolter and the autocannon, its enormous rate of fire enables it to literally shred its way through most targets, punishing them with thousands of rounds per minute. Assault cannons are extremely potent at medium to close range against armored infantry and moderately armored vehicles, while heavy bolters are less effective against the heavy armored targets, and autocannons have a slower firing rate. The assault cannon epitomizes the deadliness of the elite Terminator squads who teleport behind enemies' front line and open up with fully automatic fire. Yikes. Say hello to my little friend. Yeah. Spreading carnage and terror. In earlier patterns of the assault cannon, the weapon was notoriously fickle and prone to jamming, sometimes stopping with enough force to detonate the weapon and kill the user. Dang. Newer patterns of the weapon no longer suffer from this problem, which could be due to research by the Adeptus Mechanicus that produced refinements in the weapon's design, similar to the transition from the combi bolter to the storm bolter. Assault cannons are mounted on the destroyer variant of Imperial Marauder bomber aircraft. Autocannon. While auto pistols and auto guns are similar to their laser-based variants, autocannons are unlike their las-cannon counterparts. Autocannons are rapid-fire heavy weapons designed to eliminate heavy armored infantry or light vehicles, and are often used by Imperial Guard heavy weapons teams in battle, due to their versatility and reliability. Autocannons have better penetration than heavy bolters and greater range than assault cannons, but have a slower rate of fire. These weapons used to fire an explosive penetrating bolt, much like the bolter. But as the Imperium progressed, this technology was added to the list of that which was lost. They now fire solid slug rounds ranging from 20 millimeters and up. Autoguns are automatic ballistic weapons which fire solid slug ammunition propelled by one of the various methods, including the combustion of propellant powder or the use of compressed gases. The ammunition used most commonly by these weapons are cased or caseless ammunition cartridges. An autogun refers to a wide range of Imperial weapons that project ballistic solid slug ammunition. A number of variants exist, encompassing mainly automatic rifles and assault weapons. Auto guns are still popular among certain regiments of the Imperial Guard for reasons such as, while having almost similar wounding capability, the bullets are capable of causing bleeding, useful against certain species of targets, whereas a lasgun beam tends to cauterize wounds. Also, the psychological effect of the loud muzzle blast noise and visual effects are more useful against orcs. However, it lacks the same degree of power and introduces the logistical complications of requiring the manufacture and delivery of specific ammunition to the front line, unlike the lasgun. The autogun was a standard issue weapon for the Imperial Guard until the 32nd millennium, when laser technology had progressed enough to be produced on a large scale. Nice. Auto pistol is a pistol weapon that operates on the same principles as the autogun. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Apologies. It shoots the same caseless projectiles used by the autoguns in shorter bursts. The Inquisitor Thaddeus uses heavily modified model, which he uses in conjunction with two unusual ammunition types. Executioner rounds, which are guided, rare, and lethal, and are normally used in a shotgun. An unmanned round, which is guided and repeatedly hits the target until it runs out of propellant, at which point it explodes inside the target. Ooh, yikes. It is described as the pinnacle of current Adeptus Mechanicus ballistic weapons technology. The bolter. The holy weapon of the Emperor. So the bolter, also called the bolt gun, and its variants are some of the most powerful handheld weaponry in use by military forces of the Imperium of Man. It is a powerful assault rifle that fires explosive 75 caliber kinetic rounds, colloquially referred to as bolts. The bolter is a weapon synonymous with the Adeptus Astartes, and rightly so. However, although the Space Marines are its primary user, the bolter finds its use in military organizations throughout the Imperium. The weapon is fierce, with explosive rounds capable of ripping through or blowing apart a foe. The Chaos Space Marines of the Traitor Legions were issued their Legions bolters before the Horus Heresy, and therefore use generally older variants than the patterns available to present-day Loyalist Space Marines. Oops, sorry guys. The bolter is a mid-range anti-personnel weapon that lies between lighter bolter pistol and more effective heavy bolter, which fires 998 caliber bolt rounds. Standard pattern bolter can easily be wielded by a Space Marine, but smaller pattern bolters must be used by the battle sisters of the Adeptus Sororitas and other mortals. I was going to say, be careful, we might get canceled there. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm making a joke. So for both the Space Marines and the Sisters of Battle of the Order or Orders Militant of the Adeptus Sororitas, the bolter is viewed as a weapon intended by the Emperor of Mankind to bring his wrath to the enemies of mankind. Every Astartes carries a bolter lovingly handcrafted by the artificers of his chapter's armory, or the one of the Adeptus Mechanicus Forged Worlds. At each point in its construction, special rituals are observed by artificers or tech priests, and even Astartes' daily maintenance of his weapon carries an air of religious devotion. The bolters used by Space Marines are known to be coded to Astartes' genetic signatures, so that they are only functional for members of the Adeptus Astartes. Be like a Metal Gear Solid there. Bolt pistol is a smaller version of the bolter in standard use by the Space Marines. The current pattern in use is the Astartes Mark III. The weapons are also used by many other Imperial forces as well as the Chaos Space Marines. It is commonly used in conjunction with the close combat weapon by Space Marine officers, veterans, and assault squads to make them into melee combat specialists. As a bolt weapon, the bolt pistol is favored over the las pistol due to its improved killing ability, although it is less reliable and generally holds fewer shots in its magazine than a las pistol. A bolt pistol magazine carries only 6 to 10 rounds of standard bolt rounds, each weighing about 0.08 kilograms and with a diameter of a 75 caliber 1905 millimeter. The pistol is able to fire either a single shot or short 3-round bursts. While standard bolt guns are rarely used by the Imperial Guard, bolt pistols are quite popular amongst the commissariat, my goodness, say that 5 times, and are frequently used by junior officers and non-commissioned officers in place of the regular issued las pistol sidearms. It is likely the bolt pistols used by the Imperial Guard are smaller than the Astartes Mark III, based upon observations of the Inquisitor Thaddeus. Or Thaddeus. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Thaddeus. Anyways, the Exodus pistol, used only by the Vindicari assassins. The Exodus pistol is the assassin's backup weapon when retreating after assassinating their target with their Exodus rifle. It is high strength and solid slug weapon. So I didn't really look into what this says here. So Vindicari, I think it's Vindicari, right? I don't think it's Vindicare. Anyways, if I'm wrong, you guys can let me know in the comments. Heavy stubber is a primitive weapon similar in design and appearance to the 20th century heavy machine guns, and is fairly common and reliable. Its high rate of fire makes up for its lack of strength and armor-piercing abilities. It is an ideal support weapon for low-tech worlds that cannot produce more technologically advanced weapons. Heavy stubbers are often pintle-mounted and used as close defense weapons on Imperial vehicles. When the rare storm bolters are not available, the heavy stubber has relatively poor armor penetration factor, as it simply fires solid slugs without a penetrating charge, but it has significant better range than the storm bolter, which originally designed as an assault armament. So it does continue to see some use, and even in well-equipped armies. Chaos cults often do not have great resources. As such, use easily manufacture and maintain weapons like heavy stubbers. Reaper autocannon. The Reaper autocannon is an archaic double-barreled autocannon with a shorter range. Reaper autocannons were commonly used by Space Marine Terminators prior to the Horus Heresy. They were eventually replaced by the assault cannon in Loyalist Astartes chapters, and are now only exclusively used by the Chaos Terminators or mounted on Chaos Defilers. The heavy volume of fire this brutal weapon is able to lay down to great effect enables warbands to have the ability to take out heavy troops and light armor at range. My goodness, got a lot of air in me. Okay, Ripper gun. Ogrins serving with the Imperial Guard are equipped with the Ripper gun. A drum fed, I guess this is where the giants and everything come in, right? Anyway, sorry. A drum-fed automatic combat shotgun built to their immense scale. It is a short-range weapon firing several shells at once, which helps combat the poor aim of the average ogre. They are fired to soften up the enemy before the ogrins charge into close combat. Man, my reading just declined there in the last 3 minutes. Anyways, Ripper guns are particularly robustly built, so that they can be used as clubs. These guns can also have ripper saws. These are one of the only weapons an Ogryn can use, as the Ogryn's immense size and stupidity usually result in most other weapons being broken over the heads of the enemy. Nice. When the Ogrins get close. In addition, the trigger mechanisms are typically fitted with burst fire limiter to prevent the Ogryn from discharging his entire drum magazine in one continuous stream of fire. A prospect Ogrins find very amusing, but would leave them without ammunition. Okay. Shotgun. Combat shotguns are ballistic weapons that have been in widespread use for millennia compared to the higher technology laser weapons. Their standard ammunition is scattershot, which disperses during flight into a hail of fragments. The shotgun is a durable, simple, and reliable weapon, which has made it the mainstay of the Elysian drop troops, who prefer it over the las gun when entering hostile drop zones. The arbiters of the Adeptus Arbitus also use the shotgun for crowd control in congested urban conditions and have developed special executioner shells for them. I wonder what the riot squad is called in the Imperium. Let me know in the comments. One who coils riots and stuff like that. So shotguns are used throughout the Imperium and are popular with Hive World scum and local police. I guess the police would do that, huh? Makes sense. Among these groups are a large variety of specialist ammunition is used, including man-stopper slugs, modified bolt rounds, and incendiary shells. Imperial Navy starships carry shotguns for the crew to use during boarding actions or against uprisings by crewmen aboard the ship. The reduced penetration of spread shot reduces the probability of a damaging critical equipment aboard a ship or even puncturing the vessel's hull. Space Marine scout squads are also known to use shotguns during their missions. The Dark Angels and Blood Angel Space Marine chapters equip their scout marines with the special man-stopper rounds, which have an extra propellant charge. Come on. The stub pistol, also stub guns or slug guns, are a primitive kinetic weapons, resembling 20th century revolvers or automatic pistols. They are common on industrial worlds but rarely used by Imperial military forces. In the Calixis sector, the stub revolver, hand cannon, and stub automatic are the stub pistol type weapons most commonly on offer. Sniper rifles, usually a specifically constructed or modified ballistic or laser weapon for use by sniper units. The term sniper rifle is used as a generic term that covers many variations on the theme of long-range precision infantry weapon. Yeah, it's what we have today, basically, including various laser and other energy-based weapons, minus the laser weapons. There are sniper rifles which use solid ballistic ammunition, although, like other projectile-based weapons, they are restricted by the need to carry heavier ammunition. The advantage of the slug thrower has over its energy-based opponent is that fewer enemies will recognize the report of the rifle, as opposed to a long-las ruby team. The Exodus rifle, used only by the extremely skilled assassins from the secretive Vindicari temple of the Officio Assassinorum. The Exodus rifle is an incredibly powerful sniper rifle, modified to fire special rounds designed specifically for the art of assassination from a distance. Among the different types of specialist rounds that can be fired from an Exodus rifle are the following. Shield breaker. The precise construction of this ammunition type is unknown, but has the ability to circumvent force fields. Turbo Penetrator, a much heavier propellant charge combined with difficult to construct shape charge on the tip of the shell. The Turbo Penetrator round is much more effective against large and armored targets, including armored vehicles. The Hellfire used the highly toxic Hellfire compound found in other Imperial weapons to inflict horrific injuries on the target. Okay, we got one more here, guys, and then we'll go ahead and end it. So, the Needler, straight up ripped from Halo. Not exactly, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding, by the way. The needle gun and the needle pistol, or Needler as the class of weapons is known in general, are silent and deadly weapons that uses both laser power and poison needles. The weapon fires a laser bolt like lasgun, which is a millisecond later, is followed by a needle. Ooh. The bolt melts and cuts through armor, leaving the flesh or other vulnerable parts vulnerable to the needle, which then knocks or kills the target. It is a valuable weapon which needs specialized ammunition and care, even more so than the sniper lasgun. Excuse me, sorry guys. And is therefore usually reserved for more elite troops or Imperial assassins. The needle pistol is a small, elegant version of the basic needler weapon. It is ideal for secretive work such as assassination, doping, and kidnapping missions due to its being silent, flat, and flashless. Oh no, I shot myself. Anyway, sorry. Druggy joke. Sorry, tasteless druggy joke. Anyways, guys, we're going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a wonderful day.